Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Okay, so it is June 3rd, and distinguishing, if I can say it, between a democracy and a republic. The United States is not a democracy, and the founders used strong words to make clear that their nation should never become one. Consider the following statements. Benjamin Rush, a simple democracy is one of the greatest of evils, 1789. James Madison, democracies have ever been spectacles of turbulence and contention, have ever been found incompatible with personal security or the rights of property, and have in general been as short in their lives as they have been violent in their deaths. That was 1787. John Adams, remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There never was a democracy yet that did not commit suicide. That was 1814. Thomas Jefferson, an elective despotism was not the government we fought for. Edmund Randolph, that in tracing these evils to their origin, every man had found it in the turbulence and follies of democracy. And John Marshall, between a balanced republic and a democracy, the difference is like that between order and chaos. The simple fact is that the United States is a republic, and a constitutional republic at that, not a democracy by purposeful design. And democracy, the chief characteristics and distinguishing feature of a democracy is rule by majority, and people meet and exercise government in person, which can be done in a small territorial area. Republic, republicanism stresses liberty and inalienable rights as central values, makes the people as a whole sovereign, rejects inherited political power, expects citizens to be independent in their performance of civic duties, and vilifies corruption. In a democracy, the individual and any group of individuals composing any minority have no protection against the unlimited power of the majority. Is that even right, though? So here's Dr. Rachel Levine with her pearl necklace. She is one of the most famous transgendered people. And these people seem like they're able to have lots of rights. And it appears that they're able to use any bathroom they choose, despite the fact that it might make other people feel uncomfortable or violated. I'll leave you the link to this. It's interesting. This is funny because this reads, transgender inclusive policies are not a safety risk. If they were, we would know by now, as transgender people have been using public bathrooms and locker rooms for decades, it says. Here's October 23rd, 2017. A Wyoming transsexual person was convicted of raping a 10-year-old girl. Miguel Martinez, a biological male who identifies as a woman. Looks like she's been crying. Convicted of raping a 10-year-old girl in the restroom. I'm sure the little girl wasn't in the men's bathroom. The victim, the little girl, reportedly told police about the assault, saying it hurt, before breaking down in tears. So this is August 19th, 2022, regarding transgender sexual assault. amid hotly disputed claims that a transgender student sexually assaulted a girl in women's restroom at Johnson Middle School, and an investigation of another incident where a girl claimed she was groped in a different school restroom by a transgender girl that led to no charges being pressed. December 7th, 2022, a 15-year-old boy raped his female classmate in a transgender-friendly bathroom at Stonebridge High School in Virginia. October 26, 2021, a Virginia juvenile court judge concluded Monday that a transgender teenager sexually assaulted a female student in Loudoun County and was accused of sexually assaulting the 9th grade girl and found guilty on all charges. That's the same incident as above. Skirt-wearing male student is found guilty of raping a 15-year-old. That's October 26, 2021. So there was other sexual assaults, and this sexual assault that said took place in late May, but the school board and other school officials appear to have covered up the attack to ensure passage of a controversial transgender policy which would allow students to use the bathroom and locker room of their choice based on their gender identity. It just goes on and on. This continues to say that it says, but the predator transgender student or person simply does not exist. So all these victims that were mentioned just don't really count. So I'm not sure if this part anymore about the democracy. It says in a democracy, the individual and any group of individuals composing any minority have no protection against the unlimited power of the majority. I don't think so anymore. I think the minority in this case, at least in the transgender case, is dominating. They're taking over the rights of the majority. You've got situations like this. So this transgender beats out the women here. You've got the transgender weightlifters beating out the women, the biologically born real women. You have this transgender cyclist that is beating out women, real women. So fairness for who? Transgender women athletes stay afloat for now. Leah Thomas. You've got the transgender fighter, Alana McLaughlin, submits Celine Provost in an MMA debut. Yeah, that's a fair fight. In a June 10th, 2022 article, new study estimates 1.6 million in U.S. identify as transgender. There's your flag. So the study estimates that about 0.5% of all U.S. adults, some 1.3 million people, and about 1.4 or 300,000 of youth between 13 and 17 years old identify as transgender, having a different gender identity than the sex they were assigned to at birth. That's what they say. They might be pumping those numbers up to make it seem more popular, but so 0.5% of all U.S. adults. I'd say that's a minority, but they seem to have a lot of protection against the power of the majority, it seems, for right now. And the Republic, most significant difference from democracy, republicanism asserts that people have unalienable rights that cannot be voted away by a majority of voters. It is rule rooted in laws. We have to find the laws, though. Lately, we've been seeing the laws being bent and ignored. It says a republic implicitly contains the element that we would call democracy, but it's understood that the U.S. is a representative democracy in which the people choose representatives who in turn decide the issue of the day in competition with other branches of the government and in accordance with the laws. Let's go back to that. It says representative democracy in which the people choose representatives. So just out of curiosity, I asked, are members of the World Health Organization, that's the WHO, are they chosen or elected? And I should have just said or appointed, because chosen by the people or elected by the people is different than This says the executive board reviews the proposals and nominates a candidate for consideration by the World Health Assembly, which then conducts a vote by secret ballot. That was November 4th, 2022. So let's go look at who's on the executive board. So I wonder if they've changed the name now, because World Health Organization, now they're calling it the WHO Executive Board. So, and they called it World Health Assembly. Here's World Health Assembly is the decision-making body of WHO. It is attended by delegations from all WHO member states and focuses on specific health agenda preparation by the executive board. So the executive board is composed of 34 technically qualified members elected for 3-year terms. Technically qualified, like according to who? So it says here 34 persons who are technically qualified in the field of health. Are they talking about like Gates? Because he's not. This states the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation alone is responsible for over 88%. I don't know why my phone won't focus, sorry. Is responsible for over 88% of the total amount donated by philanthropic foundations to the WHO. Other contributors include the Bloomberg Family Foundation, the Wellcome Trust, and the Rockefeller Foundation. I know for a fact he has 0 technical training in health. And I'm not saying he's making the decisions, but if you're funding it and your money is the one that's going into the organization, they are influenced by your choices. And I'll leave you this link as well, because when they talk about the member states, let's see, each designated by a member state that has been elected to serve by the World Health Assembly. Member states are elected for three-year terms. This will not focus. Whoops. Did I mess that up? So anyhow, here's the United States of America, 2022 to 2025, to be communicated. Everyone else has a name, but not the United States. Nope, we don't know yet. So the WHO's, the executive board meetings, they just had one from May 31st to June 1st, 153rd session of the executive board. But they don't tell you who. Do they tell you who? Let's see, composition. Let's go look at that. No, you're back here. So everyone, they don't, well, they give specific names here. So they list and name all 33 people except for the United States to be communicated. That's not known yet who is on the board of the WHO. So here on the WHO's website, it says founded in 1948. It says WHO is the United Nations agency. WHO is the United Nations agency that connects nations, partners, and people to promote health, keep the world safe, and serve the vulnerable. So everyone, everywhere, can attain the highest level of health. How's that working for us so far in the last 3 years? As he's scheming what we do, WHO leads global efforts to expand universal health coverage. We direct and coordinate the world's response to health emergencies. How's that working so far? They coordinate the world's response to health emergencies, and we promote healthier lives from pregnancy care through old age. Sure they do. Our triple billion targets outline an ambitious plan for the world to achieve good health for all using science-based policies and programs. Science-based. That's interesting because in gematria, the word science-based, 257, 534 here in English gematria, and 89 in simple gematria, science-based, is equivalent to the light and death delete. Same numerology. So this is election of the WHO Director General, So the Director General is WHO's Chief Technical and Administrative Officer. The appointment of the current WHO Director General took place at the 75th World Health Assembly in May 2022. So the appointment. So this reads, process and timelines. The process of electing the next Director General begins when member states are invited to submit proposals for candidates. The Executive Board reviews the proposals and nominates a candidate for consideration by the by the World Health Assembly, which then conducts a vote by secret ballot. But who nominated each representative for each state? I don't remember voting for anything. The most recent election process for Director General began in April 2021, when the deadline for proposal submission set for 23rd September 2021. Dr. Tedros, who, by the way, stated he has yet to take the needle crafting that they kind of jammed down everyone else's throats. He was nominated, Tedros was nominated by the Executive Board, the Executive Board, and its 150th session in January 2022. And the proposal was considered by the World Health Assembly in May. Well, whoever they are, in May of that year. Dr. Tedros was re-elected and officially began his second term on August 16th, 2022. So where did he get his doctorate, the doctorate MD thing? So a Director General can be reappointed once. Relevant documentation related to the election process is available here. I'll leave you this as well. It says documents concerning the election process for the WHO Director. The thing is, even if there's an election process, it doesn't mean by the people. It doesn't seem like it's by the people. No one voted for the representatives for each state or country either. Here I found this Constitution of the World Health Organization. I'll leave that too. It says the states parties to this Constitution declare in conformity with the Charter of the United Nations that for the following principles are basic to the happiness, harmonious relations, and security of all people. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. The enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being without distinction of race, religion, political belief, economic, or social condition. The health of all peoples is fundamental to the attainment of peace and security and is dependent upon the fullest cooperation of individuals and states. The achievement of any state in promotion and protection of health is of value to all. So here we go with equality. Unequal development in different countries in the promotion of health and control of disease, especially communicable disease, is a common danger. Now that's the number one thing right there, especially communicable disease. That's where the whole disease paradigm takes off and where the pharmaceutical companies profit. And this is what needs to be changed, especially communicable diseases, because there aren't really such things as that. I'll probably get flagged for that. This is healthy development of the child is the basic importance, the ability to live harmoniously in a changing total environment. Changing total environment is essential to such development. So you think that they're really considering our children's health? Okay, let's look at this. Wow, crazy, huh? And now they're also using the initials MAP as in map to mean minor attracted persons. So that's not going to be healthy for the children. So when they talk about healthy development of the child is the basic importance, I don't think it's going really well for kids right now. And they want children to have the ability to live harmoniously in a changing total environment. And how the last 3 years, all these kids have to be wearing masks. This is March 21st, a little girl on a playground. Look what she has to wear when she's playing, a mask. Look at this little girl in a playground. When was this? Can't remember. In 2021 probably. Look, he doesn't have to wear a mask, but she does. Young kids wearing masks. That is not normal for development. So when the WHO's Constitution talks about the extension to all peoples of the benefit of the medical, psychological, and related knowledge is essential to the fullest attainment of health, they're failing. Anyhow, governments have a responsibility for the health of their peoples. No, they don't. They have to uphold the Constitution. And let's see, which can be fulfilled only by the provision of adequate health and social measures. And who's to say what's adequate and who makes those measures? Accepting these principles and for the purpose of cooperation among themselves and with others to promote and protect the health of all people. Contracting parties agree to the present Constitution and hereby establish the World Health Organization as a specialized agency within the terms of Article 57 of the Charter of the United Nations. Let's go see if I can find that. Article 57 of the Charter of the United Nations. So this says the Constitution was adopted by the International Health Conference held in New York from 19th of June to 2022 of July of 1946, signed on July 22nd, 1946 by the representatives of the 61 states and entered into force on April 7th, 1948. This says the WHA 29, the WHA 39.6, the WHA 51.23 came into force on February 3rd, 1977, January 20th, 1984, and July 11th, 1994, and September 15th, 2005, respectively, and are incorporated in the present text. But we're still going to go up here and look at Article 57 of the Charter of the UN, the United Nations. And here I'm looking at the charters. It says UN.org about U.S. Charter, full text. It says, so United Nations, peace, dignity, and equality on a healthy planet. And look at this. Let's see. Preamble. I'll leave the link so you can read this, but and for these ends to practice tolerance and live together in peace with one another as good neighbors, and to unite our strength to maintain international peace and security, and to assure by the acceptance of principles and the institution of methods that armed force shall not be used, saved in the common interest. Armed force. So you don't need to use armed force anymore. Is this what you call armed force? Or maybe that, armed forces. But who needs armed forces when you have this microwave? Yep, the microwaves working with this. Remember that? I think, wasn't she the first one to get the armed force? And for these ends continues, like the ends justify the means, like you have in the Jesuits. But it says to employ international machinery for the promotion of the economic and social advancement of all peoples. To employ international machinery. So this is international machinery. Definition is international means, well, international means between or involving different countries. And it's interesting too. So machinery, machines, machine parts, or machine systems, collectively. So there you've got the collective there, as in the hive mentality, as in not the individual. Could that also mean drones? To employ international machinery for the promotion of the economic and social advancement of all peoples. Would that be drones and the cameras all over the place? The grid system, keeping everyone in check, the digital ID, the whole good citizen thing. And I'll try to go quickly here because I'm interrupting my little thing here, but 15 jobs that will disappear in the next 20 years due to AI. So this looks like AI actually wrote it. Wobble in technology, king of the list. I don't think that's a real person. Anyhow, this is 6 years ago, last seen 6 years ago. So this said here, they're just going through a list of what our future, the jobs that will be lost. So drivers, and Elon Musk says it'll take a couple years, but yeah, thanks Elon. This is all about the electric cars and the electrification that he and John Podesta talked about at the White House a couple weeks ago, the electrification of the United States. So the electric vehicles part of that. And just to add, the word spelled out COVID-19, the anagram is also EV, innocent die, as in electric vehicle, innocent die. So farmers are going to be PH-ucked. So there's farmers, probably because of all the GMO that's being thrown in our whole food system. So basically synthetic fake food. Because of the basic oligopoly, like monopoly or monopole, but these companies, Nestle, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, all those people are feeding you toxic food, plastic, synthetic, not real food. Printers and publishers, because the newspaper is dead and they had to go digital so they can change things around and lie and just edit it as they go along. So everything's digital and everybody wants instant news instantly, which is somewhat understandable, but the internet has to do with that. So the newspaper is dead. That way too, when you're digital, you can just delete history. Just delete it. Once they pull that plug on you, you have all your family photos and all your life on digital. It's so easy to erase it without a trace. Adios, old world. Hello, new world. New reset. No one's here. Start over. Genocide. Create your new history. Start over. Cashiers are going to be gone because everything's, I don't know, digital. You can thank Amazon for that because they bought out Whole Foods and they're making a new, running a pilot test called Amazon Go. Zero humans, all AI, because AI cashiers can go 24/7 without bringing drama to their personal lives into the workspace. So goodbye humans. Getting rid of the third person for travel agents, cut out the middleman for traveling. Let Siri do it for you. So this is talking about manufacturing workers, their job's going to be gone. And this is funny, it says, quote, the factory of the future will only have one human and one dog. The human will be there to feed the dog and the dog will be there to keep the human from touching the machines. They probably will just use a dew weapon instead to keep that human from touching the machine. So by manufacturing workers. So dispatchers will be gone because the algorithms will take over and they're using technology to outperform you. Not all, but some. Waiting tables and bartending will go by the wayside. And look at that cash. You'll never see that again. Nope, no cash. Bank tellers are going to be gone because they'll just start doing all their work on the smartphones or use your ATM instead. But could swear that person in the background there is a dude, but who knows. So bye-bye bank tellers. And military pilots and soldiers going to be gone because they also did that armed force to them. But also, what I find contradicting is here with the WHO and the UN, they all want to have world peace. But here they said that drones can hit a target more accurately than any human could without endangering the life of the pilot. So basically, just like video games, you're just going to kill humans, flip of a switch. But isn't that funny? I thought we were supposed to have peace. And they pretty much already wiped out all the military and soldiers anyhow with their needle crafting. And this is funny. You can probably pretty much tell that AI wrote this because they wrote fast foot workers. So unless you're being accountable and you're eating someone's foot or feet or human parts, which might not be too far from the truth. So fast foot workers are going to be replaced, but I think they meant fast food workers. So see, humans can actually proofread. But they're saying fast food workers are easy to animate. You probably shouldn't be eating that crap anyhow, not with all the synthetic and poisons they've got in it. So just get rid of that anyhow. Stop working for those companies. They want to kill you. Telemarketers are going to be gone because they're digitizing your voices anyhow. They can knock you off and take your voice and act like you because they know what you're about, because they've tracked and traced you with all your social media. You've given them all the hints. So telemarketers, adios. Accountants and tax preparers, I could be away with them anyhow. Why are they going to be gone? Probably because they're digitized. I don't know. That's AI engineers. That's why AI engineers are going after accountants, lawyers, and medical professionals. Why? Because algorithms can figure it all out. Who needs it? You just fill in the holes, just like medical too. You just type in your symptoms and the machine will spit out your prescription for the drug that they want you to take. So bye-bye accountants and tax preparers. And stock traders are going to be gone because they have bots do everything anyhow already. They're already doing that. So you shouldn't be so in love with so much money anyhow. Bye stock traders. The bots are replacing you. And the construction workers, only the people who really own the companies, who own the big machinery. It says down the line further, as technology progresses, they'll see that construction workers will follow the same path as those who used to work in the farming industry in the past. So you're going to be replaced by automation and machinery. And this is such an AI ending. I wrote this article to help and inspire. I hope it was interesting to you. This is a total AI written information. Some AI thing wrote this. This was not a human that wrote this. And they don't know how to proofread. By fast foot workers. So interesting. Have resolved to combine our efforts to accomplish these aims. And it says, accordingly, our respective governments, through representatives assembled, not elected, but assembled in the city of San Francisco. The city of San Francisco, that's in California. Yeah, here's San Francisco. Yep. San Francisco, California. Looks great, huh? Yeah. Looks great. So accordingly, our representative governments, through representatives assembled in the city of San Francisco, who have exhibited their full powers found to be in good and due form, have agreed to the present charter of the United Nations and do hereby establish an international organization to be known as the United Nations. Just looking at the United Nations anagram, it's tainted unison. So the word tainted is to contaminate or pollute something, and unison is coincidence in pitch of sound or notes. And that kind of reminded me of this. There's unison, those are those notes, and all those 5G towers, and you got these 5G towers. You got the microwave frequencies going. Kind of reminds me of this. Looks like a monopole. Now this is what they call an electrolyre. But if you flip it upside down, which is what I did down here, look at that. Doesn't that look like a cell tower? And when I looked at the anagram, this is just one company, Sam Clark, Pyramid and Fairy Lamps. Lamps is in Psalms, but look at that, looks like a cell tower or a monopole or a monopoly. But an electrolyre is a fixture for holding electric lamps. Normally the term designates an elaborate light fixture suspended from above, such as a large multi-bulb pendant light. Additionally, the term is used by architects in the United States to refer to electric street lights or any exterior light fixture mounted on a pole or standard. So you could say that could be a monopole or a monopoly, but there's electrolyr. And the reason why I'm showing you this word, because do you know Aleister Crowley? He's like the thelema, the do what thou willst. This is one of his symbols. When you see the whole thing, it looks like a Baphomet head with a Star of David involved. But that's the anagram for his name. Aleister Crowley is electrolyr's way. I don't know if that's how you say that. Electrolyr's way. And looking at this electrolyr, talks about showing how to transform gas layers, wall brackets, gas standards, and temporarily or permanently into Clark's fairy lamps without disturbing the gas arrangement. But going back here to the UNs, and it's basically saying that armed forces shall not be used, and they're going to employ the international machinery for promotion of the economic and social advancement of all peoples. And they talk about these fairy lamps without disturbing the gas arrangement. And the American Tower Corporation, who is one of the largest global real estate investment trusts, it's a leading independent owner, operator, and developer of wireless and broadcast communications. That's their logo. And then you look at the anagram, there's American Tower, it's New Crematoria. You look back down at their logo and look at that. That looks like Aleister Crowley's thelema symbol. And his whole saying is, do it thou wilt. Thou shalt be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. Basically, do whatever you want. Here's a symbol again. And look, you go out into the city streets and there's American Tower. Looks a lot like the thelema, the Aleister Crowley logo, doesn't it? Or symbol. And again, going from Aleister Crowley with his name there, the anagram, Electrolyr's Way. And these electrolyrs talk about pyramids and fairies. And this is the thing about Aleister Crowley. He was an English occultist, philosopher, ceremonial magician, poet, painter, novelist, and mountaineer. When you look at the word mountaineer, the anagram for mountaineer is enumeration. And an enumeration is a complete ordered listing of all the items in a collection. The term is commonly used in mathematics and computer science to refer to a listing of all the elements of a set. Set is also the Setians. That's Satanism. The precise requirements for enumeration depend on the discipline of study and the context of a given problem. People are a problem to the controllers. And then you have this eugenist whose the Gates Foundation is by far the largest private contributor to the WHO. And just that Article 57 I talked about way back when, is the Health Assembly or the board acting on behalf of the Health Assembly may accept and administer gifts and bequests made to the organization, provided that the conditions attached to such gifts or bequests are acceptable to the Health Assembly or board and are consistent with the objective and policies of the organization. Oh, and I just, for interest sake, wanted to look at Article 66. It's Chapter 15 here, Legal Capacity, Privileges, and Immunities. Article 66. The organization shall enjoy in the territory of each member such legal capacity as may be necessary for the fulfillment of its objective and for the exercise of its functions. Chapter 16, Relations with Other Organizations. This is on page 17. 17 spelled out equals NWO, which is New World Order. The organization shall be brought into relation with the United Nations as one of the specialized agencies referred to in Article 57 of the Charter of the United Nations. The agreement or agreements bringing the organization into relation with the United Nations shall be subject to approval by a 2/3 2/3 vote of the Health Assembly, not the people, the Health Assembly. This talks about Article 5.2. A member of the United Nations against which preventative or enforcement action has been taken by the Security Council may be suspended from the exercise of the rights and privileges of membership by the General Assembly upon recommendation of the Security Council. Who's the Security Council? Here's a group of them. This is interesting. United Nations Security Council, governmental body. UN.org. Governmental body of who? Whatever. The United Nations Security Council is one of the 6 principal organs of the United Nations and is charged with ensuring international peace and security, recommending the admission of the new UN members to the General Assembly, and approving any changes to the UN Charter. Founded October 24th, 1945, New York, New York. So they're just pretty much taking over the world, basically. ECOSOC. And Silicon Valley happens to be south of San Francisco, and those are all the technocrats. One more I looked at with Silicon Valley is all is Ivy clone. That's funny because when you look at the Ivy League schools, it's things like Harvard, Yale, Cornell, Columbia. And look at their logos. Look at the V's they have in there. Are those mountains? Columbia, Pennsylvania, and Princeton all have the same kind of interesting little logo, as does American Tower, which is also incorporated there in that Aleister Crowley, that Thelema, which is 93. But anyhow, okay, that's enough. I just had some weird thoughts about their who, acting like they really care about the young children, which is total BS. They don't. They're going to be killing our food sources. That's probably why they have that little wheat brand right there, just to kind of give you a heads up. And it definitely seems like the minority is taking over. You've always got to pay attention to their logos. And remember, we are not a democracy. We are a republic and a Republican people. So I'll leave this for you too. Okay? All right, guys, be good. And don't stand for those towers.